Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're diving into a shocking twist. Lin lies again, telling Yuri's mother that Tu Tieu's DNA doesn't match Mrs. Lan. But how long can she keep this deception alive before the truth explodes? If you enjoy the story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next videos. Lin walked into Ansang Company like she belonged there, heels clicking softly against the polished floor, hair perfectly in place, a warm smile ready the moment she saw Yuri's mother through the glass office door. "Auntie," Lin said sweetly, stepping forward with that practiced mix of respect and closeness. "I'm sorry to come in without calling first. I know you've been overwhelmed lately." Yuri's mother looked up from a stack of folders. Her eyes were tired, but the sight of Lin still brought a small sense of relief, like help had arrived. "It's all right, sit. What's going on?" Lin lowered herself into the chair opposite, placing her handbag neatly on her lap. She didn't rush. She never rushed when she was about to steer someone. "I went through Uncle Tuan's project documents like you asked," she began, voice calm, confident. "I checked the partners, the financial model, the timeline, the legal side, everything." Yuri's mother straightened a little. "And?" "There are no issues," Lin said, nodding as if sealing the answer with authority. "It's big, Auntie, really big. If we move early, An Sang can ride the wave instead of chasing it." Yuri's mother exhaled, the kind of breath people release when they want to believe good news is real. "Yuri has been cautious," she admitted. "He keeps saying we should slow down." Lin leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Because he cares. That's why he's a good son. But sometimes being careful turns into missing the moment." Her eyes held Yuri's mother's gaze. "And this moment won't wait." On the desk, the old family share ledger sat like a silent witness. Yuri's mother glanced at it without meaning to. Lin noticed immediately. "Auntie," Lin said gently, as if offering a life-saving idea, "I think we should raise capital." Yuri's mother's fingers paused on the edge of the folder. "By borrowing?" Lin shook her head. "Loans will strangle you with interest. Banks will demand collateral, audits, conditions. It'll slow us down. The faster way is selling shares." The words landed heavy. Yuri's mother looked away, staring out the window at the city traffic below. "Those shares were your uncle's, your grandfather's," she whispered. "They're not just numbers." "I know," Lin's voice softened, perfectly timed. "I know it feels like cutting your own skin. But Auntie, what's the point of preserving a legacy if the company collapses before it reaches the next generation?" Silence stretched between them. Then Lin added, like she was giving a gift, "I also found someone who can buy quickly. A friend. Skilled in construction. Experienced, serious money. If we sell to the right person, it's not losing. It's partnering." Yuri's mother frowned. "A friend of yours?" Lin nodded. "Yes. And because they're close to me, we can negotiate something safe. Even a clause to buy back later if you want. You won't be trapped." Yuri's mother hesitated. "But what if they're not in the country? You know people like that. Always travelling." "They're home," Lin said immediately, as if she'd already anticipated the concern. "And if you want, I'll call them right now. We can talk today." There was a tremor in Yuri's mother's eyes. Hope and fear. Two things that always arrive together when someone is desperate. "Call," she said quietly. Lin didn't smile too wide. She kept it subtle, respectful. But inside, her heart picked up speed. She took out her phone and tapped a name. The line rang once, twice. "Hello," a man's voice answered. Lin's tone turned light, familiar. "Aunt Noch, are you free? I'm at Ansang Company with the director. We're discussing a construction investment opportunity. If you're serious about buying shares, come now. We can settle everything today." Yuri's mother listened closely, as if she could hear truth through the speaker. Gotch chuckled. "Shares? How big are we talking?" "Big enough to matter," Lin replied smoothly. "I'll send the address." "Send it," he said. "I'll be there." The call ended. Lin sent the location immediately. Her thumb pressed send like it was pushing a domino. Yuri's mother stared at the phone in Lin's hand, then at the share ledger again. Her face tightened with conflict. "This is fast," she murmured. "It has to be," Lin answered. "Uncle Tuan's project will move with or without us. If we hesitate, someone else will take our spot." The office felt smaller suddenly, as if the walls were listening. Uri's mother sat back, shoulders heavy, mind racing between risk and opportunity. Lin watched her carefully, sensing the moment of weakness turning into surrender. And while Yuri's mother was thinking about profit, about saving the company, about doing something for her son, Lin's mind was already somewhere else, because she hadn't come here just for shares. She'd come here to break something, to loosen the foundation under Yuri's feet, to make sure that even if he stood tall, he would stand alone. And to do that, she needed Yuri's mother completely on her side. Minutes later, the knock came. Yuri's mother's head lifted sharply. Lin's eyes flicked to the door. "Come in," Lin called, louder than necessary. Ngok stepped inside, dressed neatly, smiling as if he'd walked into a deal already won. He greeted Yuri's mother first, bowing slightly with respect. "Director," he said politely, "I've heard a lot about you. Managing a company like Unsang. That takes real ability." Yuri's mother forced a small smile. Praise was comforting, but it also made her feel exposed. "Thank you. Please, sit." Ngok sat down, glancing around the office with quick, assessing eyes, like a buyer checking a house before making an offer. Lin sat beside him, posture relaxed, like she was the bridge between them. "So," Ngok began, getting straight to it, "Lin said you're selling shares. How much are we talking?" Yuri's mother swallowed. "Unsang's capital is over 100 billion VND, she said carefully. "I'm prepared to sell 45%. 45 billion. Ngok's eyebrows lifted. 45%? He leaned back, pretending to calculate. "That's a lot. But if the project is as big as Lin says, I might need more control." Yuri's mother stiffened. "More?" Ngok's voice stayed friendly, but the greed underneath was obvious. "For a large construction investment, I'd prefer at least 55%. Majority ownership makes decisions easier." Yuri's mother's fingers tightened on the edge of the desk. 55% means... "It means an additional 10%, Lin jumped in quickly, smiling like it was nothing. "Auntie, it's fine. He's my friend, reliable. And later, if you want, you can buy back. This is just temporary, until the project pays out." Yuri's mother looked at Lin, searching for certainty. Lin met her gaze without blinking, warm and steady. Slowly, Yuri's mother nodded. "All right. 55%. 55 billion. Ngok's smile widened, but then he shifted, like a fisherman pulling on the line. He said, clicking his tongue. "But the facilities? I heard the company has been struggling. Some equipment is outdated. The risk is higher than you think. I can do 50 billion. Yuri's mother's face tightened. "That's 5 billion less." Ngok shrugged. "That's business." For a moment, the room fell into that sharp silence where you can hear people deciding who they are. Yuri's mother's eyes closed briefly. She looked older in that second, like she was watching her husband's legacy slide off the table. Then Lin placed a gentle hand over Yuri's mother's wrist. "Auntie," she whispered, "it's okay. We can accept. Time matters more. Uncle Tuan's project won't wait for perfect pricing." Yuri's mother opened her eyes again. Pain flickered there, then resignation. "Fine," she said, voice strained. 50 billion for 55%. Ngok's expression relaxed instantly. "Deal." He stood up. "I'll prepare the money and paperwork. We'll finalize quickly." He offered his hand. Yuri's mother took it, but her grip was weak. "Thank you," Ngok said smoothly, as if he'd just done her a favor. "I'll contact you today." Then he turned to Lin with a friendly nod, like they shared a secret. Lin smiled back, polite on the surface, thrilled underneath. When Ngok left, the office felt colder. Yuri's mother sank into her chair, staring at the empty doorway like it had swallowed something important. Lin exhaled slowly, like she'd been holding her breath. "See," she said softly. "We did it. This will help the company." Uri's mother didn't respond right away. Her eyes were glossy, not from joy, more like grief. "Auntie," Lin continued, voice gentle as poison, "Uri will understand. He'll be upset at first, but when he sees profit, he'll thank you." Uri's mother nodded faintly, but her heart was still tangled. And Lin, watching her, realised something. Trust was a door. Once it opened, you could walk in carrying anything, even a lie. And Lin's next lie was bigger than shares. It was about blood, about DNA, about making Uri's mother look at Tu Tieu and see a stranger. Because if Uri's mother believed Tu Tieu wasn't really Mrs. Lon's daughter, then every bond around Tu Tieu would start to crack. And when the cracks spread far enough, Lin wouldn't even need to push. The whole thing would collapse on its own. Lin didn't stay in the conference room after Ngok left. She watched Uri's mother stack folders with trembling hands, contracts, stamp pads, blank forms that suddenly felt like a lifetime decision, then stood with a careful smile. "Auntie, I'll go confirm a few details," Lin said, sounding responsible. "About Uncle Tuan's project?" Uri's mother asked, eyes still on the share ledger. "Yes, the timeline, the partners, the site schedule," Lin replied. "If we move fast, we win. If we hesitate, we lose the slot." Uri's mother nodded, half convinced, half drowning. She hated the idea of selling family shares, but she hated the idea of failing Uri even more. "All right, message me." Lin promised she would, then walked out, opened her map, and headed straight to Tu Tieu's farm. No calls, no checks, just the next step in the lie. Because shares were only one battlefield. The bigger one was blood. If Uri's mother started doubting Tu Tieu's identity, every bond around Uri would weaken, and once a family was divided, it was easy to control. The farm greeted Lin with calm air and the smell of smoke from cooking. Lin hated that calm. Calm made people think. She didn't use the front gate. She slipped along the side path, avoiding the yard like she was afraid of sunlight. "Stop." Tuang stepped out from behind the bamboo fence, arms crossed, eyes sharp. He caught her wrist before she could pretend she belonged there. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Lin forced a laugh. "Guarding chickens now." "I'm guarding this place," Tuang said. "You're sneaking." Tu Tieu appeared at the doorway, apron on, hands wet from washing vegetables. The moment she saw Lin, her face hardened. "What do you want?" Tu Tieu asked. Lin switched masks instantly. Soft eyes, gentle voice. "I came to check on Uri. I heard he's under pressure." "Don't say his name like you care," Tu Tieu replied. Lin glanced at Tuang's grip. "Tell him to stop treating me like a criminal." "You are a criminal," Tu Tieu said, stepping closer. "You spread fake DNA rumours about me. You dragged the fisherman into it to stain my name." Lin smiled, calm and poisonous. "I didn't fake anything. You're scared of the truth." Tu Tieu's laugh was bitter. "The truth? I should take you to the police." Lin lifted her chin. "Go ahead. What evidence do you have?" Tu Tieu's eyes flashed. "I did my own DNA test," Lin scoffed. "And it says you're Mrs. Lon's daughter?" "Yes," Tu Tieu said. "And it says you're lying." Lin's smile tightened, just a crack. Then she recovered. "Then show it. Don't just shout." That was when a new voice entered, breathless and confused. "What is happening?" Uri's mother stepped into the yard. Tu Tieu's heart jumped. "Auntie?" But Lin moved first, quick and eager. "Auntie, thank goodness you're here!" Uri's mother frowned. "Why are you arguing? Why is Tuang holding you?" Lin lowered her voice like she was sharing pain. "Because she doesn't want you to hear the truth." "Stop!" Tu Tieu snapped. Lin faced Uri's mother fully. "Auntie, Tu Tieu is not Mrs. Lan's biological daughter." The words hit like a stone. "I have DNA results," Lin continued fast. "She's linked to the fisherman. That's why she's furious. That's why she threatens police. She wants to silence me." Uri's mother's face drained of colour. Her eyes flickered between them, searching for solid ground. Tu Tieu stepped forward, voice shaking but clear. "Auntie, she's twisting everything. I did my own test. I have proof I'm Mrs. Land's daughter. Lin is lying to split us." Lin's tears arrived instantly. "Auntie, how can you doubt me? I've been helping the company, running around for your family. She attacks me because her secret is slipping." Tu Tieu's voice rose. "Your tears are fake." Lin's smile sharpened through the wetness. "Your identity is fake." Yuri's mother whispered, "Tu Tieu, you're saying you have DNA too?" "Yes," Tu Tieu said firmly. "And Auntie, please be careful. Lin has been pushing company decisions, bringing strangers in, talking about selling shares, moving too fast." Yuri's mother's eyes widened. "Selling shares?" Lin cut in immediately. "Auntie, she's lying because she's desperate. You asked me to research. I did it thoroughly. I'm trying to help Yuri, help the company." Tu Tieu shook her head. "She's using you." Yuri's mother looked torn in half, trust on one side, fear on the other. She wanted to protect Yuri, protect the company, protect the family, but she couldn't protect everything at once. Lin wiped her tears and straightened. "Fine. If she has DNA proof, show it. If she has evidence I'm plotting, show it too, otherwise stop threatening me." Tu Tieu didn't blink. "I will." Lin nodded slowly, then turned toward the gate. She paused once, just long enough to soften her voice for Yuri's mother. "Auntie, I'm sorry you had to see this," Lin said, "but you deserve to know the truth. Think about what I said." Then she walked out, calm and composed, leaving silence behind her. Tuong took a step as if to follow, but Tu Tieu raised her hand. "Let her go. She wants it bigger." When Lin disappeared beyond the fence, the farm finally breathed again. Barely. Yuri's mother exhaled shakily. "Tu Tieu, what is this mess?" Tu Tieu guided her inside and poured water. "Come sit. You're shaking." Yuri's mother sat, eyes distant. "How long was she here?" "I only saw her when Tuong caught her sneaking," Tu Tieu admitted. "Auntie, please, don't let her words control you." Yuri's mother swallowed hard. "Is Yuri home?" "He'll be back soon," Tu Tieu said. "Please stay and eat. We'll talk when he's here, and I'll show you anything you need." Outside, Tuong flipped marinated fish over the coals, smoke curling into the evening air. He spoke lightly, trying to pull the mood back from the edge. "These flowers are really beautiful," he said, nodding toward the garden. "It feels peaceful here." Yuri's mother stared at the garden like she was borrowing that peace. Then, almost without thinking, she asked, "Would you ever consider working at Ansang? Yuri could use someone reliable." Tuong paused. "If it helps, maybe." Footsteps sounded at the gate. Yuri walked in, dusty and tired. The moment he saw his mother, his face changed. "Mum, why are you here?" he asked. Yuri's mother stood quickly, forcing a smile. "I wanted to see you. I needed fresh air." Yuri's eyes moved to Tu Tieu, then to Tuong, sensing something wrong. "What happened?" Tu Tieu opened her mouth, but Yuri's mother cut in, voice trembling. "We'll talk after we eat." Yuri frowned but nodded. "Okay." They sat down together. Rice, herbs, grilled fish. Simple food meant to make everything feel normal. For a few minutes it almost worked, but Tu Tieu kept noticing Yuri's mother's hands tight around the cup, her eyes drifting, her lips parting like she wanted to speak, then stopping. She was carrying Lin's words like a hidden blade. Yuri ate quietly, exhausted, but his gaze kept flicking between his mother and Tu Tieu, like he could feel the peace was thin ice. Tuong stayed silent, steady, guarding the table with presence instead of force. The meal continued, warm on the surface, yet underneath, a question waited, sharp and dangerous. And the moment Yuri's mother finally said the words Lin planted in her mind, the farm would either become a shelter or a battlefield. Lin visits Ansang Company to reassure Yuri's mother that Uncle Tuan's project is safe, and urges her to raise capital by selling shares. She quickly calls her friend Ngot, who arrives and negotiates to buy a controlling 55% stake for a reduced price, leaving Yuri's mother torn between saving the company and losing the family legacy. Later, Lin secretly sneaks to Tu Tieu's farm, but is caught by Tuong. Tu Tieu confronts her for spreading lies about DNA and claiming Tu Tieu isn't Mrs. Lan's real daughter. Uri's mother arrives in the middle of the clash and is shaken by Lin's accusation. Tu Tieu warns her not to trust Lin, hinting Lin is manipulating company decisions. Lin leaves, but the doubt remains, threatening to divide the family.